Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Pickled Dragon Unscripted with the amazing, always amazing Dracoya of Avant Art and Scale 75 USA. Make sure you get the USA at the end there. It's important.
It's important.
It is important. Buy local. But anyway, here we are, and we recently did a video where we talked about problem players, and Decoy and I, there we could probably do endless numbers of videos about these, but we had picked a list of a handful that we thought were the most common, and we wanted to talk to you about how to deal with those players when the problems arise. So
Stay tuned because Matt's got some great stories for this time.
take two. I have DM'd hundreds and hundreds of players in my 35 to 40 years of gaming, and I think that I have run the gambit on problem players. But the first one, I think, is a little bit of a trope, a little bit of a gamer stereotype, but it went too far with one player I had, and that is the slob. So we often hear the stereotype of gamers who don't know the meaning of the word deodorant, and they stink to high heaven, particularly at conventions where after 2 or 3 days of constant gaming and ignoring showers, the odor from the gaming hall can be quite pungent.
Don't be a cliche, guys. And
Yeah.
no, you're not that one exception that's genetically gifted so you don't stink. You just don't smell it.
Yeah, that is the key right there. You just don't smell it. Well, it goes beyond that. Let's get past that, because there are slobs who they'll bring food to a session and crumbs and dip and salsa gets everywhere. They can't control themselves when they eat. They eat like a slob, or a slob may not be related to smell or just mess. It might be that when they reach across the table, they've got to knock over every miniature in the way, or knock over terrain, or mess up something, they're careless and continuously knock drinks over or whatever.
Yep.
Um, those are all kind of par for the course. But my worst slob experience had to have been an individual who he had no filters. And a lot of times when you talk about no filters, you talk about someone who talks, right? Well,
Right.
Talk about, like, I can remember every single session would have a whole table worth of food. And this guy, there's like one thing about like the stereotype of guys scratching themselves, like whether it's
Ew.
ass or crotch or whatever. Well, this guy, he must have had some itchy issues, because he wouldn't do it over the pants. He did it down the pants.
Oh, that's gross.
And then he would reach into the food, and
Oh.
and then you know my
Mm.
and then my players would be like, yeah, Wilfred, we'll just call him Wilfred for the purposes of this conversation. Yeah, Wilfred, that whole giant bowl of food is now yours. No one wanted the extra surprises he left behind. And it's one of those things where there's no getting around it. You have got to end that behavior immediately. You've got to get on that, and you've got to stay on it, because that is obviously a lifestyle choice that they have embraced, and definitely need some correction on. But I will leave that there. DMs, please confront those players right away. You don't have to do it
For everybody, man. You don't
Yeah,
need to eat crotched Doritos.
that's right. That's right. And whether and it could be any of the other issues that we've discussed, whether it's just a dirty, messy player or knocking stuff over, you just tell them be careful. Be careful. Or tell them you've got to shower or you're not welcome. I mean, it's
There we go. I like that.
it comes down to that because it comes down to the comfort of the whole table, right?
So I have one, and the next one would be your unprepared player. So I had a person who would come to our table, and every single time that combat would happen, they would be completely unprepared. Now, obviously, keep in mind, just like everyone else, this person had like 6 different rounds to figure out which spell they were going to use, but for some reason, every time they came to them, they just couldn't do it. So we devised a very good solution. You have an egg timer and you set it to 1 minute. And at the end of that 1 minute, they have to make a decision on what they're going to do. Now they don't have to like move in this time and do all the things because we understand that that can take longer than a minute. But at the end of that 1 minute, you have to make a decision on what it is you're going to do. And if that player can't make that decision, that's okay. But then as a DM, I would rule that that player, that character was suddenly just got a huge panic attack for that round, very overwhelmed by combat and had to skip your turn. So another thing with the unprepared player are the spell slots. Everyone's like, how do I possibly manage all these spells? I've got like a bard slash arcane trickster, or my druid has like some ridiculous amount of spells. Perfect solution that you can give them are the spell cards. I know everyone's like, oh, that's such a waste of money. Why would you do the spell cards? And that may be true, I would say, for the majority of the players, but there's a lot of players who, it's just hard for them to remember. And there's no shame in that. Get your players some spell cards, have them pick everything out, at the beginning of their day when they can change their spells, have it laid out for them. So there's no flipping through the books. There's no, oh, I got to read this and look at that. No. Everything's already laid out and it's easy for them.
And if they don't want to buy spell cards, have them make their own. It's very
Have
simple.
them make their own. Yeah, flashcards. Easy.
We do that at our table. We don't spend the money. We just make our own, simple solution. Copy and paste is your friend. So
Copy and paste.
yay.
Blue.
Yeah, for sure. So the next problem player, I call the buzzkill player. We all come to the table to have fun, escape reality, become the hero, do great deeds, and survive, terrible monsters and encounters and trials.
Rescue the princess, kill the dragon, save the village.
Things. That's right. All of those things. Well, I call this player the buzzkill player because they come in with all their real life issues. They bellyache about politics at the table. They bellyache about what happened at work and how horrible their life is. And, I always start my campaigns and I will reiterate this from time to time. Like if I feel like a conversation is tipping too close, I'll say, let's not talk about politics at the table. There's no politics at this table. I don't want to hear it. I want to have fun. And
outside of what you've created in your world, right?
Right. I mean, yeah. But the real life needs to check itself at the door. And if you've got a player like this, I think you really need to remind them that it's not just their game, it's everybody's game. Everybody wants to have fun. Not everybody wants to hear about their real life issues. And and if it comes down to it, when it really comes down to it, you need to be able to tell that person, hey, you need to be able to choose, if you can't keep your issues at the door, is this the right game for you? Because it's not fair to everybody else to have to put up with that, especially, not everyone may agree with that person's politics. Like they're coming in belly aching about this or that. and somebody might be on the other side of the spectrum from that position, and then it's just contentious. I don't want any of that at my table.
It
You
has
don't
nothing to
want any
do
of
with
that
the
at
game.
Yeah, let's just leave it all there. So buzzkill players, oh,
Well, Matt, you actually make a really great point that DMs, unfortunately, fortunately, part of being a DM is you are responsible for making sure everyone is having fun, but you're also responsible for the safety and well-being of all your players. And if one person's coming in and talking a bunch of politics, then you need to make sure that you protect your other players who maybe you don't want to hear that. This is their one day a week where they get to escape the reality of their life. And that feeds into the next player, which is the alpha player. We've had a lot of these particular players. This is the type of player that comes in and he's like, I want to do this and I want to go away from the party and I want to go on this adventure. Well, Bradley, we'll call him Bradley. Bradley, that's great. But I mean, not everyone wants to do what you want to do. And when he's going into combat, he's like, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to plan it out this way and that way. And planning is great. I love planning. I love strategy. But, you can't control the other players. This is D&D. This is not a video game where everyone else is an NPC to your stardom. And that kind of guy, you have to keep that in check. And the moment the moment he's lashing out, the moment he's mean to anyone else, you as a DM, you got to protect your players. You got to protect your people. And in that moment, just like a dog, you have to say, no, no, bad, Bradley, bad. And you have to make sure that you address that right then and there. Otherwise, he's going to keep doing that. And unfortunately, I mean, you can give him the 3-strike rule. I know Matt and I have a little bit of a different perspective on this. Matt, you really like to give your players chances and a few chances. Personally, I'm kind of I'll give you one and you're done type of a person. But that's me. And neither one of those are wrong. Both of those are completely okay for how you wanna play at your table. But you do need to keep your players in mind and you need to protect them and cut that out whenever it starts. Otherwise, it's just going to snowball. And if you're saying, oh, well, this is just this person, they're always confrontational. Well, then guess what? They can take it upon themselves to not be confrontational for 2 hours out of every single week because them's the rules.
Yeah. And they just have to control what you do, what their character does. They want to control everything about them, and that's a personal thing going on in their psyche.
Can't yell at your boss. Can't yell at your DM. Done.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Well, excuse me.
All right. So that concludes our part 2 of our problem players. We want to hear about your problem players. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me all about your problem players. I want to hear your drama. And in the meantime, come back for another round on us.
Woohoo!
I'll just take the Thorm ring. Thank you very much.
Oh, like hell you will. You can have this, take the Venom Dagger. I'll take the Thorm ring.
Venom Dagger? What am I? Well, actually, that could be useful. No, wait, I'm taking the Thorm ring.
Over my dead body. I can't
believe you would even over your dead body. That could be arranged. I'm going to take this dagger and I'm going to shove it up your...
My ring.
Whether you are looking for truly unique rings to exchange on your wedding day, or simply a statement piece for Renaissance fair or cosplay, look no further than Thorum. Rings fit for the gods. Use promo code PICKLED for 20% off your order.